Hi there guys, in this video I want to just give you an update of what's been happening. Now I know it's been quite a long time and I did get notified by YouTube to say, well, you better post something, so that little reminder I thought, oh, I better update and let you guys know. I do hope you all had a great Christmas and I do wish you all the very best for the new year. For me, it wasn't particularly great because I was coughing and sneezing and so forth, so I've only sort of just about got over it now, but it was quite a nasty one and it did seem to stay for a while. Not usually I get particularly ill, but it's just, I guess, what happens at Christmas. I mean, it doesn't help that we didn't have any central heating, so we had to rely on plug-in radiators, and it did get pretty cold. We did hit -6s for about 2 weeks, so it was getting pretty cold in this place. Something we need to sort in the new year and actually get some heating and things like that done. But anyway, let's just go run through a few things. So first on to Elite, I must admit I haven't been playing it very much at all. I think what it was is that the add-on Odyssey was rather disappointing for me. I know a lot of people wanted space legs, but me personally, I would have liked to have seen a few more ships in the game. I do feel like for example, the Imperial ships are missing certain ones in their lineup. I remember in the past there was an Imperial Trader. We still haven't seen that ship. I know there's a lot of people who would like the Panther Clipper in the game. I think there was something like a Griffin as well, which was pretty big in the original Elite. I think it was Elite 2 or something, or Elite 3. But there's a lot of ships I feel it's missing, and I would like to see the lineup fleshed out more. And like the Federal ships could have a whole series of ships. For example, the police in Elite and Dangerous, they use very much a Viper or an Anaconda. Now it would have been great to see in Federal and Imperial versions of those ships for when you go into them sectors. However, that wasn't the case, and I kind of feel like Elite's a little bit of end of life now. It is quite an old game, I suppose, when it originally released. But it is still a shame, I guess. But it's a shame not seeing these big add-ons, the interest that Frontier used to have in it, and it's kind of, I think, come across to the players a bit. Odyssey, yeah, it was a shame. I mean, adding space legs, I feel what space legs should have done is allow you to walk around your own ships more, to explore things. For quite a long time when we had carriers added to the game, all we could do is look at a cargo bay door when it actually went into hyperspace, even though we had all these fantastic animations, but we couldn't actually see them. So in more positive news, Egosoft about a week ago announced that we are getting a new DLC for X4 entitled Kingdom's End. Now this DLC adds the Boron race to the X4 universe, which is something I feel should have been kind of in the start of it, but it's great to see him finally in it now. The Boron, if you don't know, are kind of a peaceful oceanic people who base a lot of their design and technology on the ocean. For a lot of players who've played the previous game, Kingdom's End's music is something that you do notice straight away, and it's a very nice piece of music. So it's great to finally see the Borons in X4 finally. The only thing I would say about that is that X4 came out in November 2018, so it's got a few years on it now, and X4 engine is highly based on the Rebirth engine, which came out in November 2013, so it's starting to show its age a bit, I feel. I would love to see X5. I mean, that would be crazy to see a new major release. Anyway, we don't have a release date this at the moment. It's just due sometime in 23. I would gather it would be more at the start of the year rather than the end, because it looks kind of a lot of it done. But anyway, this should be very interesting news for those who follow X4. And finally, if you've been following any of my YouTube videos in the past, you may have heard me talk about house renovation. Now, this is a picture from the back at the start of 2022, which shows the conservatory with a roof that goes right across the very back. Now, the idea is to take all that lot down and put an extension on the back and do a roof conversion on the top. We got permission during kind of lockdown, which didn't really help in some respects, as we couldn't get on to do things for about a year and a half. Not that was places were shut and that, it's just that stock of stuff was just not available. I think after lockdown, I think it took us 5 or 7 or 8 months to get hold of a bag of cement, which is kind of essential building work materials. So it did take us a while. So this year we basically, or the previous year, 2022, we had to basically get the timer off, as when you're given permission, you're given 3 years to do a major renovation thing, and digging the footings is classed as that. So we had to do it last year in 2022, otherwise we may lose the planning because we got it quite a bit ago. So a little bit afterwards we got the conservatory down and we started digging for the extension. You can see the foundations are starting to be formed in that point. We had to do a lot more digging after that because we had to go down to 1.2 meters, but we'd made a great big start at this point. The conservatory, we didn't just want to trash it neither, because we had a plan to reuse quite a lot of materials from that into a shed. So that was another thing we started to build. So the shed got built on now and then. We basically got a bit done to get some of the materials from that conservatory off the ground, like the windows and things, because we didn't want them going to ruin. You can see we got the roof on as well. We put all this lot into 4x2 and it's got OSB on the inside. We did insulate it and then put some shiplap later on. But the shed got worked on now and then, so it did take us quite a few months to do it. The main focus was to actually get the extension pushed onwards. So after a lot of digging, you can see we had a lot of soil in the back garden. Now, we didn't want to just get rid of this soil because we weren't entirely sure if we could do the roof conversion at this point. We had to get the foundations of the existing property checked to make sure they're strong enough to handle this extra load of another floor. If they weren't, we could have ended up putting all the soil back. Now, if we had paid to got rid of it all, then we would have had to pay for new soil, and soil is pretty expensive to buy in. So once we were given the okay to do the roof conversion, we had to get the soil round to the front. Now, once it was round the front, we could get grab loaders to take it away. However, we wasn't too sure how getting all that soil around the front. So what we ended up doing is hiring a digger and a dumper. The digger was out the back of the property loading up a dumper, and then the dumper was driving it around to the front. And at one point it got so much that the dumper couldn't stack it as high, so I ended up having to go around with the digger and piling it up higher and higher. So it took us about a week to move all the soil around to the front of the property. At the time we had a great big pile of soil which was about 7 or 8 foot tall, and it was that massive across as well. It just totally took over the front garden, so we had to get all this cleared. We got about 4 grab loaders, I think, in the end to clear it, so it worked out around about 64 tons. However, once the grab loaders have done what they've done, it was a lot cleaner, as you can see here. So we got rid of all our soil, we got our foundations poured for the extension. However, the next kind of thing to do was to get the drains around to the back of it. We did have some pitch fibre drains down there, however they only last something like 30 years and they were basically in a state that needed replacing. So we had to smash up this concrete path that went all the way down the side of the property. It took quite a long time, but once again we had a big pile of rubble out the front. Again, this was another grab loader to clear this lot. So once again it got into another mess. As you can see, there was literally soil everywhere, and we basically started getting the extension covered in stuff. But we needed to get these drains in because we can't position the bricks for the drains to go in properly. And like I said, we couldn't use the old existing drains, so we dug all that out with a bigger digger. This did again take another week. So by now it was getting a bit late in the year and we was fighting the elements to get these drains in. It was raining, it was hurricanes and all that lot, but we managed to get them in. We did also bury a pipe in so we can pull a new water in, as we plan to have the water coming around the back of the property eventually. But yeah, so you can see we've been pretty busy this year, and the main focus was to basically get this timer off. If we had not got the timer off with our planning, we would have had to reapply and it would have cost us quite a lot of money, and you're not guaranteed to get it again. However, we've done some major things this year or last year, so we actually don't have a timer anymore. So once we got our drains okayed, we got everything covered again, as the weather turned pretty nasty at this point and it was really hammering it down with rain and soil was falling down there. But the trouble is, it's made a complete and utter mess of the front. We've got a kind of temporary path in it, but it's just what it is at the time being. You know what it is when you get building work done. It does make quite a bit of a mess, and we'd rather have got these drains in now rather than get it all nice and then find out we've got problems with the drains. So this year coming, we should hopefully now get focused onto the main house, get some central heating in, get a gas supply in. We're going to put some false ceilings in. The reason is that when we take the roof off, stuff won't fall down into the rooms. So we've got to put all those in. Like I said, we should have enough time then to hopefully push on the extension as well. If we can get a bit more of that done, and get ourselves a bit more sheltered, we should be in a little bit better circumstances. Previous year, it did get cold, but it didn't go that cold. This year coming, it went really cold, and we were suffering quite badly. Mum actually got ill from it, and then I got ill afterwards. And like I said, it took me about a couple of weeks to get over all this lot. But anyway, guys, hopefully that's give you an update of what's been happening and where I've been spending my time in that. You got to add my gaming into it as well, because that's what I've been doing as well. So anyway, guys, if you have any comments or suggestions, as always, please leave them below. I hope to speak to you soon. Take care and have fun.